Hey, if you're a new insurance agent or aspiring insurance agent, you need to know the path to be successful selling insurance, no matter what kind of products you're selling. And in this video, we're going to give you the 4-step guide on how to become a 6-figure earning insurance agent. Step 1 is assess yourself. So when I say assess yourself, what I'm simply saying is this: the insurance business is full of great opportunities. But here's the thing. Not all insurance processes are equal, and you need to figure out what you are best at. So the first thing you should do, of course, is to assess your strengths and weaknesses. And we'll kind of break this down as we go forward, because assessing your strengths and weaknesses is critical to your capability of seeing where you fit. So when I first started, I didn't want to sell a product that was very complicated, that took a lot of technical proficiency. This is what attracted me to a product called Final Expense. It's a very salesperson-oriented type of sale. It's a very simple sale. That fit me well. It may not fit you, but I like that style of doing business because I didn't want to have a drawn-out sales cycle that took a long time. One thing I didn't like doing was working on the phone. So for me, selling face-to-face was my unique strength that I wanted to play into. And the point is by doing these assessments and being frank about my strengths and weaknesses, I was able to concentrate on what I did best, which is being in front of clients, sitting down with them, and selling them insurance, and doing that repetitively so that I could see success very quickly. Another thing you need to worry about too is how much of your time do you want to invest in this business? Meaning, do you want to do this on a part-time basis or a full-time basis? When I first started in insurance sales, I actually started part-time. Part-time for me was perfect because I had a business. I was a personal trainer, and I didn't want to give the personal training business up because I needed to have some kind of dependable income, but I wanted to get out of it eventually. And it was starting part-time that allowed me to go full-time eventually once I built the confidence. So again, ask yourself, do you want to start in this business full-time? Are you going to go all in because there are benefits to that, just jumping all in? Or do you want to start part-time to see how it goes, to see if it's right for you? Another question you need to ask is, do you want to do this remotely? Meaning, do you want to do this at home, or do you want to do it in person? Meaning, do you want to sell the old-fashioned way in front of a client at their home? Both, as of 2024, are absolutely viable. Some agents will say, hey, you know, the in-person game is over. There's no money in it. That is 100% wrong. You just feel like that in-person connection is a strength. Play to the strength. However, remote work is more popular than it ever has been because of the COVID shutdowns and all of that stuff. And it is absolutely a business model that is crushing it. We ask agents, and I think this is another important point, that you got to pick one of these as your focal point. You don't want to straddle the fence and do both. Are you comfortable working at home by yourself? Because you're going to be at home working 8, 10 plus hours a day if you're full time. Do you feel comfortable going into people's homes? Some people don't. You have to assess these things to figure out which of these opportunities is really going to be best for you. And another aspect that is so important is the investment capability. The investment capability. What do I mean by that? What capability do you have to invest your money into leads? Now hold up. Not all insurance sales opportunities require your capital, your money, in order to invest into it. And why would you do that anyway? Well, the lifeblood of your business, selling any kind of insurance, is leads. And most organizations, most types of products require some kind of capital if you're what's called an independent broker. There are sales opportunities in the insurance business that don't require any sort of investment at all. We do let agents buy their own leads if they want to, but we found that more and more agents now are really thrilled about the idea of what we would call a free lead program, so they can just concentrate on sales and not worrying about investing their money. So point is, give this stuff some thought. All of this stuff here, all of this stuff that we've talked about, it's okay to change your idea on where you best fit as you discover what it's really like. All right, now step number 2 is choose the right product. There's all kinds of insurance. There's life insurance, there's health insurance, there's commercial insurance, there's property and casualty insurance. And you're not going to probably sell all these products. You'll likely just sell one of those products. So it's important to do some kind of due diligence to figure out which products are best. And what I'm going to do in this segment is go through what I think are like the 2 or 3 different variables that make the biggest impact on figuring out which kind of product is a good fit for you. So the first thing to think about when you're choosing a product is the commission, and not the commission rate per se, but the commission size. So you see in the insurance business, you can pretty much categorize the pay or the commission size into two different factors. You have lump sum upfront commission, or a commission that's paid out over time but is smaller in the first year but larger over the many years. So we call those residual or renewal-based products. If you pick a product that is residual-based, everybody likes the idea of passive income, right? If you pick it though, you'll find that that higher first-year commission is a lot lower. And why does that matter? Well, you might have to buy leads. You might have to fund your business operations, right, to get your name out there. And what that does is that dollar amount that you're making is going to be lower when it comes to the net income. Okay, and that's what the money that you take home after you pay for your expenses. One rule of thumb that I think is important as a new agent, I generally do not recommend a passive or renewal-based product to sell as a brand new agent. It's too hard financially to cash flow, because cash flow is king, okay? And that's the rate of income or revenue you receive on sales, and the speed at which and the size of which. So what should you do instead? So my advice is to look at life insurance. So life insurance is going to have high commissions, all right? Generally speaking, products like term insurance and index universal life, and my personal favorite, final expense, are going to have high enough first-year commissions to where you're going to not have to sell a bunch of policies to make a good living. And if you're in the circumstances of buying your own leads, you can also afford and have enough money left over to make sense of the business. And then look at getting into a passive or residual-based product like, say, Medicare, as you build a bankroll, as you're in a much more financially comfortable position, and then build more of that passivity of income on a later basis. Another thing you need to figure out is the speed of which you get paid. So here's the thing. You can have a high commission, high cash flow product, right? But the problem you may run into is that the turnaround time to get paid is a lot less. So this is what we would call, a good example of this is annuities. Annuities are regularly a 4 and 5-figure commission payout. It's a great product to sell. You don't have to sell many of them to make a good income, but what's the problem? Well, the problem is the speed of pay. You're going to be in a position where it may take sometimes months before the deal gets closed and that you get your money. The next thing you need to know about picking the right product is the ease of learning. How easy is it to learn the product that you're embarking upon? Annuities, easy product somewhat to learn, but a lot of stuff on the back end with suitability, compliance, booting out the incumbent if you're replacing that annuity and yours is a better deal. A lot of variables there you got to worry about. Medicare, great product, but you got to know all the avenues of Medicare. You got to know all of your competition, because many times you're replacing existing plans. And you got to be able to show how one plan is better than another. So it may be something in the getting started with a technical product like what I've just mentioned is not a good idea, because it takes that much more time to learn it. You lose momentum to get started again. So I like final expense, guys, because it's super easy to learn. Are you going to die? Yeah. Do you need money to cover your final expenses? Yeah. And then you run underwriting and then figure out what's the best deal for them. So it's a great product to start with. Again, in summary here, when you're picking your product, the important thing is, do you get paid a high enough rate to justify being in this business? That's number one. Number two, do you get paid fast enough so that you can continuously keep up your standard of living and not be in debt? And then number three, you want to make sure this product is easy to learn. That increases the momentum that you have. It gets you out there selling faster and getting you seeing more success fast as well. Number three is choose the right agency. What insurance agency is best fit for you? And I can't stress to you enough that the process of picking an agency to work with is completely inverse from what you would find applying and working with most other agencies. You see, in the insurance business, basically, everybody wants you. As long as you have a pulse, they will recruit you, and they'll tell you anything and everything they can to convince you that their sauce is the best, that their agency is the best thing. Don't buy that line. You see, the reason this is done is because most insurance agencies operate under multi-level marketing theories of doing business. They recruit anybody with a pulse to recruit other people with a pulse, or then to sell you junk leads to make a profit off of. And basically they're monetizing you, not necessarily with you making money. So the point being is that you got to be wary of what you're seeing, and you got to set up a process to vet the agency outside of what you're being sold. So number one thing you need to learn or consider is the model and how the business works, okay? So really there's two different types of businesses in the insurance business, no matter what products you're selling. The first one would be focused on you selling insurance successfully. And then the second one is focusing on you recruiting people to recruit people. If you're like a lot of people, most people I would argue that are watching this video, you know intuitively that you need to sell insurance successfully, that recruiting people as a brand new person isn't a good idea because you don't know what you're doing. And so you need someone who's going to focus on training you, and an organization that's focused on training you to be successful as their primary directive. And so that's why you have to assess the business model. A couple of things I would ask you to look for in assessing this for yourself is, number one, look at the commission structure. Does it require recruiting in order to get at a higher level? And the commission grid is basically a leading indicator of what the organization values. So keep that in mind. Where are your values at? How do you want the business model to look? And consider that, especially when looking at an agency. Next thing is the training model. Okay, this is huge. So let's say you're in a situation where you want to sell successfully. You need to know how the training program is structured. Do you have one-on-one trainings? Do you have a coach? Do you have somebody that's going to drill you on the script? Objection handling, carrier training, leads training. You need all of this in order to be successful. Believe it or not, because of the MLM influences in this business, most of the organizations are going to recruit you, and the training here ain't existent at all. That's why my agency is so focused on training, because it is the difference maker to people being successful and those who aren't. So really make sure you're getting good training. Ask the person recruiting you, tell me about the training that you go through. What's the process in onboarding an agent? How do you assess that they're ready to sell? What resources do you have in place? Really feel free to ask them. And if they don't have good answers or they push back, chances are it's not a good agency to join. Another thing you need to ask yourself when it comes to the agency is, how does the model of leads work? So here's the thing. There's different ways in which insurance sales organizations teach your agents how to get leads. Some will teach you to work your friends and family. Some will teach you to cold call. Some will teach you to buy leads. Some will teach you just to use the leads that are provided for free and not have any investment. One or more of those may not be appealing to you. You may not want to cold call. I know I wouldn't if I had to start in this business. I wouldn't be here if I had the cold call. You may not want to talk to friends and family. You like going to Christmas dinners. You like them returning your phone calls and text messages, and you don't want to take them for granted. I didn't want to do that, so I wasn't in the friends and family mode. And if I looked at an agency that said that's what you had to do, I wouldn't have done it. So assess what your comfort level for leads are at. Are you okay buying leads? Well, you got to come up with money to buy leads. Are you okay with getting leads for free? You might have to take a smaller commission, but you don't have to output the investment that's normally required. Do your due diligence, ask the questions of your upline to see if their lead model makes sense for you. Number 4, the carrier model. And this is really important, guys, really important. So the carrier model, what that means is, how do the agency, how does the agency you're looking at assess which carriers they use? You can pretty much set this up into two different camps. There's one side that is more of what we call an independent or broker side. You don't have access to one carrier, you have access to many. And the benefits of that is that you can shop around, you can find the best combination of price and coverage, and then you're able to get a better value product for your client, which in turn is less likely to be replaced where you are in a situation where you have a chargeback and have to pay back your commission, okay? The other side of that is the one carrier model, where you just have one carrier. It's easier to learn for sure, but you're in this position to where you've got to push product on clients where this one carrier is not always going to be the best. It's going to be good in some circumstances, but in many cases, sometimes the majority, knowingly selling a product that's inferior to others. For me, just speaking for myself here, I would never, ever work in a one carrier solution product, because I know on a daily basis I'm going to compromise my principles on what is important to take care of my clients. Sure, some coverage is better than none. Even if I'm pushing a product, I would say, hey, better than not having any, especially like in life insurance. But the problem you'll run into is that if you're a person of conscience, I think, and you're knowingly selling a product that won't cover the policy or won't cover the client or inadequately covers the client, you have to assess for yourself if you're okay with this. I'm only speaking for myself here. I would never sell on a one carrier product solution because A, it doesn't sit well with me mentally, but B, the other issue not mentioned is you can rest assured in this competitive business that somebody's gonna come behind you and try to replace that plan. The last thing you need to consider, of course, is the culture of the agency, and this is just the overarching feel of the business. Does it match with kind of like your identity? Again, you don't want to work in an organization where you don't feel like you're a good fit, or what's being shared with you, the values, etc., are just not in congruency with what it is that you do. Ask some questions. So what's the culture like? What is the value like? Tell me about the people that work with you. To get an assessment, are they young? Are they old? And the last one, number 4, let's make sure I don't rip the page off here. Go all in. You have to go all in to have any semblance of success in this business. Going in with a toe in the water and not being fully committed to having a plan B and you have a plan C, etc., you're not going to see success. There's a couple of things you need to understand why that is the case. First of all, 90% plus agents fail in this business. And the failure rate is this high because of a number of variables. And the reason you need to know this is because you don't want to be a statistic, right? You want to know why so many fail and then do the things that are the opposite of what predict the failures, right? So why do agents fail at this rate? Number 1, the MLMs. Agents, unbeknownst to them, enter an MLM that's more concerned about monetizing the agent into making the agency cash versus getting them to be successful. So first thing is avoid MLMs. That's the big one. Second reason why agents fail, they don't get training, they don't get support, they don't have a system to follow, a blueprint. So in other words, find an agency that's a system, a blueprint, training, support. There are also reasons why agents fail based on the fact that this business is not for them. They were kind of pressured or hoodwinked into this business and they're just not really set up to be great salespeople. So ask yourself, are you comfortable selling people over the phone or in person? Are you comfortable asking people for their money and doing it on repeat again and again for your entire career? If you can't sell and you're not comfortable, don't sell insurance. Also leads, like we talked about, if you're being forced to talk to friends and family and it just makes you feel really bad, chances are you're gonna fail out like so many people. And the other thing that's important when it comes to going all in is I would call the paradox of diversification, okay? So we've heard from investment gurus, diversification, that you should diversify your investments. Don't have all your eggs in one basket, right? And there's a lot of people out there who will dabble in insurance, dabble in real estate, dabble in Bitcoin. But the problem is their attention is diverted in multiple ways. And what you have happen is that because there are agents that actually do go all in, that are absolutely focused in insurance 100% like me, we easily beat out the new competition that thinks they can straddle the fence and do multiple things that require all of your attention to be successful. If you want a chance of success and you're serious about making 6 figures, you can't do it when you're doing this 10 hours a week and then mixing in day trading 10 hours a week, right, with your full-time job. You have to make a decision and you have to be all in. That is just as simple as it is, but it's profoundly the truth. So I hope this video today gave you a lot of inspiration and direction on how to be successful so you don't become a statistic like so many agents failing out in this business. Again, do a self-assessment. Where are your strengths and weaknesses? Choose the right product, preferably a higher commission product like Final Expense is a great first choice as a new agent. Choose the right agency. Get an agency that has your back, that will train you to be successful and match the values that you have. And last but not least, but in some ways most important, this business is awesome, y'all. There's so much money in it. It's not too late to get in, but what you have to do if you want to have any kind of success is you always have to go all in. That is the rule of life in insurance and in anything in performance-based activities, is you must be fully invested to see success. What do you think? Did you enjoy this video? Please, if you did, comment below. Consider liking and subscribing. And also, if you're interested to learn more about the Final Expense business I mentioned in my agency, all you got to do is go to daviddufour.com. We have a ton of resources over there to tell you more about how our agency works. We offer free leads to agents who want to sell remotely, in person. We also do, you have the ability to buy your own leads. Lots of different options there. We have great training, great support, and we're really built around building the agent up to be successful and making their own money writing and selling insurance. So go to daviddufour.com to learn more, and thank you very much.